What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? How's everybody? Let me get some little things. There we go. Ooh, that's a little tilted. Let's fix that. There we go. My dog is being weird for some reason. Don't know why exactly. Okay, let's get that music. That's enough of the music. Joined by my co-host, Daphne, here to the side. Hold on, I just want to... Just adjusting something new. Trying to use a new camera today, see how that works out. And now I don't have my water. I forgot to... I always got to screw up the startup somehow. 1 second, be right back. Back. Well, like I said, it wouldn't be a Mr. Funky Dude stream if I didn't forget something. There's always something for me to forget. And again, excuse me, I'm just... Well, let's tilt it up a little bit. There we go. It's just adjusting camera. It's using my iPhone as a camera today. See if it improves the quality of the video. If that works, that's awesome. A little humid right now. Adjusting the fan. Like I said, wouldn't be a Mr. Funky Dude stream. We didn't have all this stuff to go through first. All right, just trying to get a little air on me because it's got the air conditioner off today. You know how it is. It's coming to the end of summer and, trying to keep the air conditioner off so that save money because it's expensive. And not only that, bad for the environment. Daniel, how you doing over on PeerTube? Quality is on point here on PeerTube. Excellent. Thank you, Daniel. Very much appreciate that. How you doing today? Hope you're having a good day today. And if not, hope this opportunity for you to have a better day. I am chilling. If you haven't been here before, kind of just wait to see who comes in. Talk to everybody. We can talk to you. We can talk to anybody. You can talk from the chat. You can talk from video or audio if you want to. I can send you a link there too. We just kind of like talk about our day, what's going on in the world, what's going on in life. What's going on for me is yesterday I took my daughter to an appointment that she had somewhere, and it was nice to get out of the house. But I just had knee surgery. Like, how was it? Jesus, it's beginning of July. Actually, was it the beginning or the end? No, it was the end of July, August. No, it seems longer. June? I think it's been 3 months almost. Maybe 2.5. Are you using OBS? No, I'm not using OBS. I'm using a service called EVMux. EVMux.com. And I used to use OBS. And when I found out about the EVMux service, I checked it out for a little while, then switched over and got their basic plan, basically, which just gives me stuff without a watermark, that kind of thing. But it's actually a pretty cool service. You can multi-stream with it. That's what it's for mostly. But everything I'm using is running from my browser right now. Like, I'm not running another software. I'm not running another app or anything like that. I'm just using my browser. Everything you see right now has been created and is running from my browser. From my camera placements to, I can bring guests in, I can do screen shares, I can do like scene transitions, all this other stuff. It's a pretty cool service. And the reason I switched over from using OBS is because not only is it a smaller, it doesn't take up very many system resources, which is great. But I like their guest features. I like their screen share feature. I like it. Just kind of like took a lot of the plugins that I was using before with OBS and integrated them into one place and made them more simpler. Right? Like all I have to do is give someone a URL and they can get on their phone and they can video chat with me or audio, do an audio or whatever with me as well. And they don't have to sign up for anything. They just use that URL that I give them. So that makes it like a lot easier. And they're still building their infrastructure. They're adding new features all the time. So it's a pretty good service. I have been enjoying using it. Yeah. So anyway, like I was saying, my knee, I had surgery, replacement surgery and all that stuff. Took my daughter yesterday to an appointment and it just kind of wore on me. Like where they cut my muscles and had to sew them back together. It's that those areas are very sensitive. So if I use them a lot the next day, it's going to be like really sore. So that's where I'm coming from today. I'm a little sore. But I'm going to hang in there, So what's going on with you, Daniel? What part of the world are you from? We always like to ask our guests that question. Where are you from? And most importantly, the most important thing here is what are you passionate about these days? What are you into? What's something that you're really enjoying doing? Mine is live streaming and going on Mastodon and, that kind of thing, spending time with my family. It's something I enjoy doing a lot. I'm passionate about. My daughter's going to be moving probably sometime next year to another state. So trying to handle that. She's 24. She'll be 25 when she moves, but still, that's hard. You are in, how the hell? Okay, I'm just gonna say somewhere in Michigan. Ypsilanti? Or is it just, is the P silent? How the hell do you say that? I don't even know how to say that. And I'm like looking at your chat and I'm trying to figure out what it is you're saying. But you're in Michigan. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's I think if I've been anywhere near Michigan. Not really. Only a few places on the East Coast that I've been to, a few states. That's about it. You say, Daniel says, I am hooked on Mastodon for sure. Passionate about writing, faith stuff, and fitness. Ypsilanti. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying what you're passionate about. That's always cool. The Mastodon is wonderful. I love Mastodon. I've been on Mastodon since, I want to say 2018, but it hasn't been until the last, I'd say, year that I've really dove hardcore into it. Once the Twitter people started coming over to Mastodon, and I had pretty much already left Twitter by that point because I was already tired of it. I had, for like a couple of years, I'd going on and off Twitter. I only had like maybe 200 followers on Twitter, something like that. And, could never really get any traction that much on it. And I just wasn't happy with the service to begin with. So right before the great Twitter exodus, when Elon took over, I had a couple of months before that, I had stopped using Twitter and I had just put myself more into Mastodon. And then the Twitter migration happened, and for whatever reason, I started blowing up and I started getting more attention and I started getting more followers and what have you. So that just kind of encouraged me to do more Mastodon, delve it into it even more. And the thing is, I like to tell people, with social media, you can't really pay attention to the follower count Because for me, like I have the highest follower count on any social media that I've ever had right now, right? On Mastodon, which is 3.4 thousand. 3.4, yeah, about 3.4, 3.5 thousand, I think. I can't remember. But the reason I don't really pay attention to it is because I know that I don't have 3.4 thousand actual followers. Like people that are engaging and actually paying attention to my content. And the reason I know that is because, well, first of all, engagement, who engages with me and who doesn't. And this, how many people engage with me. And then the second is you can go into Mastodon and you can see the activity of the people that you follow or that follow you, right? So you can see your followers' activity. You, in the sense of when was the last time they were active? It'll tell you, right? And I actually went through it when I was about 1,500. I would say about 15, half of what I have now. And I went through it and I looked at like the amount of followers that I have, and I put on there who was active and who wasn't active, and to see. And you know, a lot more people were inactive or hadn't been active within like a 2-month period, like 2 months and onwards, than I had realized. And that's when I kind of like realized, you know, the number count doesn't really matter. Your follower count doesn't really matter. What really matters is your engagement. You know, that's the thing. So I don't really pay attention to the follower count and how many people are following me and you know, what have you. It's just fun. It's just fun engaging with people. It's really my, like this in Mastodon, it's my biggest, sadly enough, social interaction. Just because I've had arthritis for a long time in my knees and I haven't been able to get out and get around and, you know, all that stuff. So this has been a big source of social interaction for me. Grateful for your today boost, my guy. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I enjoy making sure those get out. Like I put them out Monday through Friday. I kind of stopped doing it on the weekends just to give myself a break. I usually, I'll be honest with you, what I usually do is I write them all out at the beginning of the week, like on a Sunday. I write like 5 of them out. And then I use Buffer, which is, it's this social media aggregate, you know, thing. Anyway, you can, long story short, you can use it to schedule out posts. So I just have them all scheduled. That's why they all come out at like 7:30, 7:31 every morning. If you'll notice, I schedule all those out for the rest of the week, and then I just don't think about it. Well, I think about it because I boost everybody's, you know, today posts, things like that. But it's like not a hard thing to do. It was pretty easy thing to set up, and I could see early on the importance of it. And I wanted to lean into that because I really do feel that what's lacking in today's social media, which didn't used to lack before because it was a lot different when social media really started out. But in today's social media, what's lacking is that human contact, that human, how do you say it? You know, that feeling of being in contact with other people, not just a news aggregate. And you'll hear me say this in my Today posts a lot, is that don't let Mastodon become like a news and tech aggregate. If you go and look at the trending page on Mastodon or the Explorer page, whatever it's called on your app or the web, you'll see that the majority of posts that are trending are tech or political, right? News and tech, you know, politics and tech basically are the big ones. Every once in a while, you'll get a beautiful picture and you'll get a nice little story. But I would say more than 80% are news and tech. And that's what you'll see people boost more often and what have you. But I really think that what's missing is, hey, what are people doing? Because like I was on Twitter when it was in beta. I was on Twitter when it was literally just on your cell phone. There was no app. It was it was you had to have a code to call, call into, not call into, but to text to, and that would relay your text, and you had to learn all these special characters. Like the reason the at symbol is there, like your name would be at blah 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 blah, is because that was what was most available, easiest for text. Because you didn't even have a full keyboard back there. Back then, you had to like tap a key 3 times or to get a certain letter. That's back when I was on Twitter. And so the early days of Twitter, even Facebook, Facebook, Meta, whatever they call it. Even the early days of that, it was really about what people were doing. And there were jokes that were made about like people taking pictures of their food and people taking pictures of their laundry and people taking pictures of these mundane things. And it started getting kind of mocked by people for some reason, right? But those things were really the heart and soul of social media. People talking about going to the doctors, people talking about how they're trying to deal with whatever issue with their kid, or, social things of human beings. And I think that over the years, we've pulled away from that. So it's my goal to kind of like bring some of us back to that. Bring some of us back to what are you doing today? What are your goals for today? What are, what is it that you want to accomplish? That kind of thing. And have it talk about, each other, ourselves, our lives, that kind of thing. Hold on a second. I'm noticing something on here that I don't like. Let's see if I can't fix it real quick. I doubt I can. No, I'll do it later. I'm seeing something on my screen I didn't like. But you get what I mean. Dennis says, absolutely, I say that Masto is social networking, not social media. That's good. Texting to Twitter was so fun. yeah. So you remember those days, right? And, there was that connection that you could make with other people. And then I think what started happening, if you want to ask me, like, what I think turned it, is that people wanted to start following trends to get attention. And so you would see more people like boosting or retweeting or whatever new stuff and tech stuff, because that would get the most attention. It's easy to get people worked up about something they're excited about or something that they fear. And it's easy to get attention on those things. And frankly, that's why I don't talk about those things in my stream. Okay. 99.9% of the time, I do not talk about religion, and I do not talk about politics in my live stream or on Mastodon. And the reason is simple, because those are divisive topics, right? And I'm not here for divisiveness. I'm not here to create fear. I'm here to create excitement, right? I'm not here to divide people. I'm here to offer people encouragement, right? Those are the things that are important to me. So those are the things that I try to focus on the most. But those things also are easy to bring attention to. It's like I said, it's easy to capitalize on people's fear, and it's easy to capitalize on people's excitement over products, things, tech. And so more and more people started leaning into that to get that kind of attention. And I think that's why you started seeing less people talk about their daily lives, what was going on in their lives, because they felt it was getting ignored. And why talk about it if people are just going to ignore it? Right? Makes sense. Even if they're not consciously doing that, I think it's a subconscious thing, the reward, What are you being rewarded for? So I think that's kind of like my goal, is to push back against that. lean more into the social side, like just like you said, the social networking and not social media. That's a good way to put it. Excellent way to put it. Excuse me. Yeah. So that's still bugging me. Maybe I can. I've got like whatever. This little over here isn't supposed to be here. That's bugging me. Yeah, have you ever anything in like that where you just go, why is this doing this to me? Let's see if I can. Okay. I'll have to work on that later on. Figure out why it's doing that. Got to run and see you in the Fediverse. All right, take care. Thanks for visiting. Really nice. Meanwhile, I'm going to obsess over why this is doing this. Let's dimensions. Let's see. Most have that effect on me. Hey, what's up, Wolf? Those patches are cool, by the way. I just want to say that. That looks very cool. Where'd you find to do that? That's very cool. Oh, that's what I want. Okay. Hold on one second as I'm say it trying to work this out. Okay. Let's see if that fixed it. Transition. There we go. That's a little better. Still not perfect, but better. I can live with it. It was bugging me. Fancy Pants Patches. I know. Oh, is that the place? Fancy Pants Patches? That's cool. Oh, I think it's a neat little thing they have. Fancy Pants Patches. That's a cool name. What's going on with you, though, man? Hope you're having a good day. Based out of Alabama. Oh, okay, cool. It seemed like they did a pretty nice job. I don't know what I would ever do with like my own patches. I'm not as popular as you are, Wolf. Nobody wants a patch of me. That's the dream, though, man. That's the dream. Someday to be as popular as Wolfman. Don't know if I can ever achieve it, but someday. Someday. Hey, Wolf, how does my camera look? Do I look okay? I'm using my iPhone as my camera today, so trying to get a little better quality. I think it brings out the color more. It doesn't make me look as white, washed out. Wolf says, Busy as fuck today. Patches are $8 a piece, and that includes shipping. Wow, really? That's expensive. No, hold on one second. What if I'll be right back? Back. Sorry about that. Let me bring this in. There we go. So, you look like you have purple hair. What? What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean, man. Ahsoka. Very good order. Very cool thing. It's also a custom order. I will charge $10 for those not in the club. Nice. The Ahsoka episode, really good, man. Wow. Quite interesting. Although, I will tell you, I did wonder something about it. So, the only like this is what I thought of when I saw. The only thing I thought of when I saw it was that they were interacting with each other. You never saw Luke interacting with any of the Force ghosts other than talking to them. So so I'm wondering, is it just because they were in that space? You know, that place, so I can't remember, the Beyond or whatever it is. The world between worlds. Like, is it because they were in that world between worlds that they can interact with each other? They become corporal, where they can be hit and touched, and you can fight them and everything else like that. And is it just Ahsoka's does she have some kind of connection to the Force that allows her to go there, or is it because she's been there before? My question was, well, if Force ghosts can interact with us, then why wasn't Luke trained by more former Jedi besides Obi-Wan and then Yoda? Like, when Yoda died and he obviously became a Force ghost, why couldn't he continue the training with Luke? They can't see us. We're in the world between worlds, dumbass. Yeah, I know. I get that. But I'm saying, are they changing the how the Force ghosts work, or is it different because they were in the world between worlds? These are the important questions that we ask, man. These are the important questions. And ultimately, it's just a fantasy show. Who cares? But I did kind of wonder that. But other than that, it was a great scene. I mean, great episode. I was really, really impressed with the actress that played young Ahsoka. I guess she was in the Barbie movie, played America Ferrera's daughter. Also, she played a young Gamora in one of the Avengers movies or something. I can't remember what movie it was. But I thought she really did a good job. I felt like she was Ahsoka, So Good on her. Good on her for that. But the message of the episode, how it kind of freed Ahsoka from her own guilt, you know, just wonderful. I thought the way that, you know, he kind of reminded her that, look, you come from a lineage of masters that, you know, because think about it, who, you know, Obi-Wan, not a traditional master, who was trained by Qui-Gon, who was an untraditional master, had his issues, who was trained by Dooku, right? I think Qui-Gon was trained by Dooku. And then Dooku was trained by, who is it? Yoda. You know, we don't know who Yoda was trained by, but, you know, he was telling her, hey, look, I know you're worried about you being a master to Sabine, but you don't got to be perfect to be a master. You know, you come from a lineage of crazy masters. Everything you've learned is, you know, from people who have had issues. Hold on a second. Let me bring you in just a second. There, Wolf. Okay, nice guess. Wolfman. What up, Wolf? Hello there. Master Wolfman, what are we going to do? Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So lineage. I was getting in when you were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dooku did teach Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple of comics. Actually, I think it's one of those cartoons on Disney, Tales of the Jedi, maybe. Where
Maybe,
you
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
You see him and Qui-Gon together. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think there is an episode of that.
But yeah, back to the Ahsoka thing. The world between worlds is a place. It's like its own entity between time and space.
Sure, yeah. I get that.
Which is why in Rebels, Ezra was able to save Ahsoka, even though he left her like 2 seasons ago.
Right, but they're two physical people. Right?
Right.
So
however,
does it when you get to this place, if you're a Force ghost, do you all of a sudden become corporal?
He wasn't a Force ghost. That's what I'm getting at.
What was he then?
It was Anakin. He had somehow found his way to get into there. Now,
but no, that makes no sense, because that makes absolutely no sense, because not only was it apparent that he was aware that he had been Darth Vader, not only was it apparent that he had that connection to the dark side still, and knew about all of the things that he had done. That was obvious. So he had already, and the fact that he had said, I'd heard that before, which he was referring to basically Luke, his son.
Right.
So it's not the corporal form of him that just stumbled in there. It had to have been a Force ghost. There's no other explanation.
It's not so much a Force ghost, which is what I was saying.
Yeah.
It's more his embodiment and his spirit. It's not a Force ghost necessarily.
It feels like it's splitting hairs.
To an extent, but in the world between worlds, spirits can't interact.
Well, apparently.
Yeah,
we know that now.
I mean, they can do things that we normally wouldn't see. And the reason why Anakin knew all that, because he was there in the world between worlds, and he can go and see what's happening 30 years from now, 30 years before any point in time.
I didn't get that impression. I got the impression that it was the Force ghost of, Anakin after, he died, and because he had all the information. Because imagine that. So what would happen then? Is it that when he left being that all of a sudden he goes back to a time where he was Anakin, and he knows he's going to be Darth Vader, and he knows he's going to do all that stuff? See, that's I don't like that answer. That just
Well,
that
but that's
opens
what
up
it is,
so many
and
more problems.
they actually explored that in season 5, the one that was supposed to be the original ending,
Hmm.
where they went on that planet and they had the father, the son, and the daughter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he knew then that he was going to be Darth Vader, and there was nothing he could do to stop it, so they wiped his memory.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, well,
Now, when you're
but
in the, like I was saying, when you're in the world between worlds, it's basically like a DeLorean. You can go anywhere in time, and that's why
I
the
no, I
Emperor
get that.
wanted it.
But do you understand? Do you see how many more issues that opens up? How many more
Yeah,
problems that opens up? See, to me,
yeah,
it'd be simpler just that he's the Force ghost. He knows what he's done. He's resolved with it himself. Because that's the feeling that I had gotten, was that he resolved that he had been Darth Vader, and that he was trying to help Ahsoka resolve that he had been Darth Vader, and that that part of him didn't exist within her, or that
right.
if it did, she could make a different choice. So that's why he made her fight, so that she could make a different choice than he did.
Well, there's that theory, but I have one of my own. I think it was just the Force embodying someone that she would listen to.
I would. That might be possible too. I wouldn't argue
Because then
that.
that would explain why he knows. I mean, because like I said, the world between worlds,
Yeah,
you've seen that Rebels episode. They
yeah,
can
yeah.
go to any of the little
No,
portals and look at any time in the timeline they want.
right.
Things that we'd never even seen back when, Star Wars people were just like us and driving cars, all the way
Yeah,
to where the end of the universe happens. They can see any of it. That's why the Emperor wanted that, because he wanted to be able to go back in time and stop Jedi and stop the rebellion and do this. And
sure.
so I think it was an embodiment of the Force. Now Anakin might have been part of that, but I don't think it was solely him.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever find out for sure. Well, the point of it was to give her closure. You
Right.
know.
To give her closure on what happened, and
Yeah,
to basically what they were trying to do, if you noticed, she changed costumes after that.
yeah. Gray to white. Yeah,
Right.
she
Who else
became.
did that?
Well, yeah, she's supposedly it's supposed to embody the purity of the Force or something like that. Or
Who else do we know in popular culture that went
oh
from
yeah,
gray to white?
Gandalf. Yeah, Gandalf.
Exactly.
No, yeah, yeah. Have you ever seen the picture? Filoni drew a picture of Gandalf next to Ahsoka,
Yeah.
like once. So it's pretty obvious.
And I saw an interview, an article somewhere the last few days that he said that's exactly what he was going for, was the Ahsoka
Yeah,
Gandalf.
Gandalfing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gandalfing Ahsoka. Yeah,
Because if you look now, I was going to tell you this and you hadn't watched it at that point, but that first episode when Ahsoka meets up with Sabine and they're at that temple or that
yeah.
little thing, they did that almost scene for scene from the last scene of Rebels.
Right. That's
Except in Rebels, she already had the white costume.
right.
So they had to go back and retcon that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's almost the exact same scene too. So everybody's like, well, what have they been doing all this time? It's like, they've been doing their thing. This is picking up right where the series left off. A lot of
Right.
people aren't getting that.
Right. And
Because,
trauma is hard to recover from too, you know.
right. Well, and I mean that, and people think that, oh, well, it has to be a certain way, and if it doesn't, I'm not going to like it, and I'm going to bitch about it on the internet.
That is a good point. That is very
And
true.
and to me, it's like, if you would have told me in 1987 when I was 12 years old that 30 years from then, 30, 40 years from then, that I'd be able to watch new Star Wars almost weekly, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, it's people just don't, you know what? It might not. And there's been episodes of The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, Andor. Andor is kind of boring to me in a lot of
Really?
respects, but
I thought
I did
Andor
like the
was my
story.
favorite one so far. It was one of my favorite series so far.
I do like the story. It's just there's certain parts of it. It's just like, oh God, and that robot is depressing. I mean, he's worse than that one on a Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Marvin the Paranoid Android. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because it's like he's like, "Where's Marva? I want Marva," and it's just so sad because we know what happened.
Right.
She's dead,
Right.
but yet this robot, which I don't. That would kind of bounce out of Star Wars for me a little bit, because it's like you've never seen a robot exhibit feeling like that.
Well, yeah, like that, sure.
where they say, "I want this. This is what I want."
Right. You've never heard them express their desires, but I think it's obvious that like the droids have had desires. Like, because it's obvious that R2D2 is very loyal, to like Luke and to even at a time to
Anakin.
others. Anakin, yeah, that's the name. So
Yeah, he's pretty much loyal to anybody who treats him right and is good and is doing something for the greater good.
right.
Now, Chopper is a little homicidal maniac, and I love him.
I love Chopper.
And I like how they've been putting him on the. It's like you can almost understand him again.
Well, that's Dave Filoni's voice, right?
Partially, yeah.
Yeah, what they do is they take Dave Filoni's voice and they put it through a mixer and digitize it, and they try to scramble it as much as they can. But yeah, if you listen, you can understand him.
And I was telling my mom, I was like, I actually understood what he said. She's like, you watch it too much. Like, no, it's just Chopper actually does talk. You just have to listen closely, and you can make out what he's saying. Like that part that you've seen now in the first episode, where she's like, I didn't mess with it. He goes, yes, you did.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Still the best one is though, I'm out, motherfucker.
I just can't imagine how they're going to wrap this up in one more episode.
Well, there's 8 episodes.
I thought there was only 6.
No, there's 8. And I'm sure they're going to have another season. What's probably going to happen?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is they're going to stall, and then we're going to see Admiral Thrawn is going to be like one of the last scenes.
Right. Okay, good. I'm glad there's 8 episodes because I thought there was only 6.
I'm pretty positive there was 8. So this week was the 4th one?
5th.
5th one? Okay.
I believe so, yeah. This one we just saw was episode 5, I believe.
Because I know they released this one in theaters.
Really?
Few select theaters could go and see it Tuesday night. Yeah. Of course, Omaha was nowhere on that list that I saw, but I didn't really look because I'm strapped for cash right now anyway. So
yeah, I know the feeling.
It's like, why pay $20 for a TV show I could sit at home and watch?
That's true. That's very true. Like, let's when COVID is making a comeback, let's crowd into a theater and watch an episode that I can watch at home.
No,
thank you.
I don't know if I believe that technically, because I mean, I honestly, and I know we don't do this very often, but I think they're going to try to shut everything down again, and I don't think it's going to work too well.
I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to do that, especially closer we get to election.
Well, I know one thing. There's a lot of people that I know in this area. They're like, we ain't doing any of that. So
yeah, that's why I think it's a, how do I say it? It's one thing that, look, I understand why it shut down everything because they were dealing with something that they didn't know how bad it was going to be. They didn't know how bad it was going to spread. So the smartest thing is what they did, which was, shut down everything until we figure out what the fuck's going on.
And they never really did figure it out, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they have more data than they did before in the sense of, how it progresses, how the virus mutates, what's needed to, take care of it or to work against it and what have you. They also understand the spread more. They understand a lot of things about it more. So for that reason, I think they're going to feel like they can get somewhat of a control. I think the most they'll probably do, if anything, is maybe another mask mandate, which I'm sure people will bitch against, which to me is the most like I don't care about wearing a mask. I still wear a mask when I go out today because I just don't like getting sick.
Once again, if you would have told me in 1987 that I could run around armed and masked and be perfectly legal, I would have never believed you. But there were times, more than once.
Strange days we live in.
I went out and, got to wear a mask. All right. And I was packing my 9, so.
Do you feel like a train robber or something?
No, I just thought it was funny. I'm just laughing.
Yeah. I don't care. I still
The
wear a
group
mask.
that I belong to for my carry insurance is called the USCCA. So, quick plug:
Yeah.
anybody who carries, it's a great insurance company that work with you. They put out numerous statements that yes, if there's a mask mandate, you still are allowed to carry.
Yeah. That's good.
Because before, and even because they have a quick link to all laws in every state. And they said, yeah, if your state's mandated to be masked, you're allowed to wear it and you
Right.
can still be armed. But before, you could not. It states that you could not have any covering on your face unless it's a weather, like if it's cold out or something.
Right.
And of course, you can't carry it into a post office, school, any government building. They're trying to make it any public building now here in Omaha, and people are just laughing and being like, whatever. And like
Yeah.
the governor of New Mexico tried to ban it, concealed carry altogether, and they're like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. The problem with, and not to get, I don't really feel like this is very much of a political subject because I know Democrats who are in favor of guns and I know Republicans who are in favor of stronger gun control. So when it comes to guns, I don't really see it as like a divisive issue. I think it's more of an issue of history. And the reason I say that is because I don't think we're ever going to get good gun control in this country until we deal with the truth of how this country was created on violence. And it was created through violence, from everything from taking the land away from the natives to slavery, to the way the police force is set up today. Violence has been used as a method of control in this country since the very first day it started.
Yeah.
Okay. And because of that, we as Americans have a very unique relationship with violence that the rest of the world doesn't seem or has grown out of. Right?
Right.
And we haven't grown out of that or haven't moved out of that. And until we face that fact of history, that we have systemic violence that is in our society, that is baked into it from the culture to how we see ourselves, we're always going to have problems with guns, and we're never going to have any good systematic gun control. Johnny's over here.
And the problem is, and I agree with that, but the problem is you say gun control, and it's like people want to ban it outright, and it's like, no.
I think there are very few. I think there are a lot less people who want to ban it outright than
no. I'm
than
saying
not.
like a specific, like for example, the dreaded AR-15.
Yeah,
they just want to ban it. Nope, can't buy them anymore. They tried that before, and guess what happened? The Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. And then they made it to where you can buy them again.
Right.
Now, as a responsible gun owner, yes, I agree. There needs to be a little bit more stuff in place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, this is a gun-free zone. Chicago's a gun-free zone. You're not allowed to have a handgun in the city of Chicago. Guess who has the highest gunshot rates?
Yeah.
Chicago. Well, so it's like laws don't change anything. It just disarms people that just have it either for, like myself, somewhat protection or recreation.
That's why I say it won't change until you change the mindset. It's the laws. Okay, look, so I have a very, I think, like there's only a few people. Okay, I have a problematic way somewhat of looking at gun control. And it's a little different than other people do. First of all, let me just say I have shotguns. I have used guns. I know how to use a gun.
If you ever come out to Omaha, we'll go out and shoot some more. But go on.
I personally, and this is just me, I would have a hard time killing someone. And I know this about myself. Just because, unless it was like in severe situation in defense, and I would have big trauma after that. I just know
Absolutely.
how
I am not arguing that whatsoever.
So my thing would be to avoid that. That's just me personally. However, we live in a country where certain demographics of people are marginalized to such a degree that their lives are threatened. Like there are people who are LGBTQ that are threatened. There are people who are black that are threatened. There are people who are trans that are threatened, by other people with violence. And to say that these people can't arm themselves in order to protect themselves would, to me, be hypocritical.
Right.
Right? So, like, I understand why some people want to carry arms and want to make sure that they are protected. I would never say to some. But the problem with gun control is that it favors people with money.
Right.
Right? Whereas it disfavors people who don't have money. So what it does is it creates a state where the poor cannot protect themselves adequately, or how they in a violent society. So, again, it's a power. It changes the structure of power.
Right.
Right.
No, you're absolutely correct, because, like, I mentioned Illinois earlier. Okay. Yeah. I have all of my credentials from the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
For the state of Iowa, all that I had to do was pay $50 for a background check and then take a class online.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nebraska, similar, but you have to take the class in person and you have to qualify with your weapon.
There's
and
people
if you
who
don't
can't
have
afford
one,
that. There's people who can't afford that.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
My processing fees and all is like $50. I think I had $100 spent on the permit. Christian was almost twice that.
For some people, that's like a month's worth of groceries, you know?
Right. Well, then here's I don't know the prices there, but in order to conceal carry in Illinois, you have to have a special license that's separate from your handgun permit.
Right.
Because in the state of Iowa, at first I had a purchase permit, which means I can go into any store that recognizes that, in any state that recognizes, and go and buy something. Now, they would, if it was out of state, they would have to ship it.
Yeah.
But with a permit, I can buy that same item in there and, in theory, can take it with me. But a lot of times they just want to ship it just to avoid any hassles with the law.
Right.
Illinois, I cannot remember what it's called. It's like a foil card or something like that is what they call it. You have to have the gun permit. Then you have to get a special license to carry it. And in Illinois, those are expensive and they're a lot harder to get. Just like what you were saying, just because a gun alone, you cannot touch a decent weapon for under, well, I won't say under, but it's close to $200. And that's for a bottom of the line decent, which is what I have. Right. I have a brand called Sky, SCCY. It only cost me $215 for that.
Most people can't afford that. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that can't. Not most,
well,
but
and then back then ammo was a little bit cheaper. But okay, so you got a gun. What are you going to do? Throw it at somebody? No, you have to get ammo. Right. Well, then you have to have two different kinds of ammo. Your personal defense ammo, or hollow points, as a lot of people call them. Those are, you've seen them. I know you have.
Yeah.
They're designed to, when they hit a target, they stop, because most of your practice rounds, if they were to hit a target, it's a good chance they'll go right through and hit somebody else or something else.
Right.
Okay, so you have to have two different kinds of ammo. Hollow points are usually $10 more a box. Then you get the regular rounds, and at that time, I could get a box of 50 for about $26. But then again, okay, there you go. You get $50 for 5 magazines, basically. Then that starts to become a financial process for someone.
Right.
I mean, even with me, and I mean, part of it's because I have more than one caliber of ammunition that I need. But it's like, now it's like, I need to get all this ammo because I've got these guns that, this one will make a great bat, because that's about all it's good for right now.
Right.
And, you know, and it's like you said, it's like, if you don't have the money, you can't do it.
Yeah. Which means that if, you know, see, I kind of think of the poor as the most vulnerable, right? And to be able to say that our most vulnerable, in a violent society, that the most vulnerable can't protect themselves, I start to think, well, is that by design? You know, you start to wonder, are gun laws and gun control like designed to keep the poor from arming themselves.
Yep.
And then you start to think, about, like I said, people in classes that have been violently attacked, like LGBTQ or trans people or people of color or what have you.
Races, right?
Right, for racism or religious or something like that. The fact is, none of that will be fixed. There is no law that will, even if we had a law to take away all the guns and we were able to like snap our fingers and magically take away all the guns in the United States,
I best be getting a check because I spent a lot of money on that shit.
We would still be left with the violent society that we started with.
Well, and we don't talk about this much anymore, but what's one of the first stories in the Bible? Cain and Abel.
Oh, yeah.
How did Cain kill Abel? It sure as hell wasn't with a 9mm. He picked up a rock and bashed his head.
Right. Hey, hold on 1 second. I got to take care of something real quick. I'll be right back. Behind me, that's completely that's fake.
Okay, what hand are you holding up right now?
Is my left hand.
Okay, on your left side, past your green screen, on the shelf behind there, or whatever that is that a model kit?
Oh, you mean up there?
No, it was down toward lower. It looked like a white thing with like a bunch of pieces of a model, like a model plane or car or something.
No, I don't get nothing like that. I don't know. That'd be cool if I did.
Right.
But the point is that what I'm saying is, about my view on gun control. I don't want to own a gun.
All right.
I don't want to bring a gun into my house.
All right.
That's just me personally. But
and that's your right as an American citizen.
I completely understand in this culture that we live in why other people do.
Right. Well,
and I think some of them are justified reasons. And I think, personally, some of them are unjustified reasons, but that's not for me to decide. And until we deal with the violence that is inherited within the system that we are in, we're never going to be able to have any kind of good gun control or any kind of respectable, even like, see, it works the other way. Even if we had like guns were free for everyone, we would still have the problem of the violence that's inherited in the system that we live in.
Well, that's because then it would let anybody have one. And that's and even Republicans especially, they've been talking more on the mental health aspect of it. Because it's like I get so tired of, just hearing about when there's an incident. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get specific.
Right.
An incident. And then after said incident happens, instead of blaming the individual, they blame the tool that person used.
Well, the problem with that is also that I think that, okay, so like when they say that, it's a mental health issue, and I know that in a lot of cases it is a mental health issue, but let's be honest here. When we're talking about violence, let's say non-gun violence, when we're talking about battery, when we're talking about other forms of violence that takes lives just as easily as guns do, we don't look at these people and say that they have mental health problems.
Right.
If someone kills a bunch of people with a knife, like in jail or even in real life, we don't start going, it's a mental health problem. It's only with guns that we say it's a mental health problem.
And there's two sides to that. I see exactly what you're trying to say, but then on the other hand, it's like, why isn't that? Because when you were describing that to me, if somebody goes up and stabs somebody just because, they're not right.
You know how many men beat their wives just because they're pissed off and they had a bad day at work?
Yeah.
We don't say that they have mental health problems. We just say that they have domestic abuse issues.
And it's still mental health to me.
Well, yeah, it's obviously a form of mental health because they don't know how to process their feelings. They don't know how to deal with the aggravation or frustration that they're feeling. So
or
they
a
turn
negative
to
situation that happened.
right. So they turn to violence. Absolutely, it is a mental health. But I'm saying is that we don't say that. We're not as worried about the mental health of people who beat their wives, which is way more than people who, shoot schools or kill people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to guns, we all of a sudden get into this topic about mental health. I think that's the wrong topic to get into. I think if we really want to deal with guns, we need to talk about the inherent violence in the system.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you and I
know.
are both guilty of this, but I mean, look how many violent video games they have. And
I don't know if that's necessarily.
no, hear me out. Hear me
Yeah,
out.
okay.
You and I are of age and have been of age for quite a long time to where we can play these games and differentiate. Now,
Right.
okay, they have a teen label on it. Did that teen label stop me from buying 2 Live Crew or Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
No. Just as the same, it's not going to stop a kid. And 90% of the time, a kid goes to get a game. Mom, I want this game. Okay. And they don't even look at it. And they'll just get it for them. And then you've got younger people playing. And GTA is a good example. What's that newest one that just came out? Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
I mean, that's more fantasy, but I mean, they're violent. And I mean, even back in our day, we had Mortal Kombat. I mean, I remember church groups like protesting the game down south, like literal picketing Walmart or whatever it was because they had the video console in their front lobby
Right.
for people to play. But you get not only with video games, but then you have all types of other media. And I'm not even talking now. I'm talking back when we were younger too.
You see, the thing is, I don't blame media. I think the media is a very small part, very small part.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting to. You've got the games, you've got the media, then you've got like movies and stuff, and then it comes down to a parenting issue. Now, when you and I were growing up, if we got out of line, we got knocked back into that line, whichever way worked best. I'm not saying that's the right way, but we would, we would be put back into line. Now, that being said, my parents never like needlessly beat me or anything, but I got my share of swats. And sometimes I got it. I didn't think I deserved it, but it kind of worked out because there was things they didn't know that happened. So,
but you understand. But you understand that's a symptom of the problem, right?
Well, to an extent, it's also a symptom, but also a cause, because then you have the family unit breaking down because, like, you're a few years older than me. I can't remember exactly how many, but
I'm 54.
Okay, I'm 48.
Yeah, there you go.
So same generation to an extent.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, now our parents grew up where,
violence was a big thing. Yeah.
Well, violence was always been a thing, like you said, but at the same time, where their family had dinner together every night. Their family stayed together. And then once we started coming around is when you started to see more divorces and that kind of stuff. I mean, I was chastised as a kid because, my parents were divorced, like up until like 82 or 83. Your parents are divorced? It was a big deal. Now it's like people my age and younger, you have to have at least one ex-wife or you're not really, part of society.
Well, also, but you have to also factor in how much the society has changed in the sense of, that there was a lot of repressed anger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say the boomer era, right? There was a lot of repressed anger that they had to deal with and that they passed on, to us basically to Gen X and what have you, that we had to learn to deal with on our own and as free range latchkey kids, right?
Right.
And that was difficult. But the whole thing is when we're talking about media and how it represents to violence, and we're talking about how families deal with violence and use violence themselves, we have to keep in mind that these are all things that are symptoms of the problem, not the problem itself. They're not the cause of the problem. They're symptoms of the problem. The cause of the problem is the system that we live in, which uses violence as a system of control or the threats of violence as a system of control, from the way the police structure is set up to the way that we have laws set up. And it's not just physical violence. It's also things like there's a thing called emotional violence, and we can call it trauma if we want to, but police officers are trained to get you so worked up that you do say something that you should maybe wish you hadn't. Right?
Tell them too much information about
Give them
the situation.
too much information, they use it against you. That's why if you talk to any kind of a lawyer that deals with criminal justice, they will tell you the first rule is shut the fuck up. You don't talk to the cops. You don't say anything until you have a lawyer. Right?
Yep.
Because police are trained to use that emotional threat of you not losing your freedom, or maybe feeling bad about something, or getting you to at a frustrated state where you say something that maybe you didn't really mean to say, or that can be taken the wrong way, and that will give them some kind of opportunity to incarcerate you.
Yep.
They are trained to do that.
Did I ever tell you, on a side note, this is funny. Did I ever tell you the one time that I was drunk driving and got into a wreck?
No.
This is not something I'm proud of,
Right.
but it is kind of funny. Nobody was hurt. I want to state that first.
Oh, yeah, you got lucky.
Yes, I got very lucky, and I do not condone nor promote drinking and driving. That's one of the reasons I quit drinking.
I get it.
This story I'm about to tell you now. So I was driving, trying to hook up with this girl.
Giggity.
And she lived off of a main road. This main road went from Council Bluffs into Omaha. Well, me being drunk, and it didn't help that it was snowing, I didn't know that the bridge was out. And this is a bridge over the Missouri River. I couldn't see anything because it was snowing so hard. I had drank too much and it was dark. I ended up running my truck, front ending it. It slid into an excavator machine.
Oof.
Yeah. And my truck was an 86 Ford Ranger, so it wasn't much to it.
Right.
So I get out and I hike up to a hotel that's up the road, and I didn't have enough money for a room or whatever, because I was just going to take a room, pass out, and then see what happens the next day. I ended up going to a friend of mine's house and told him what happened. He's like, all right. He gave me some food and some other, tried to sober me up a little bit. And he drove me over there, but there was a cop sitting there. I walked over to the cop, hands up. I said, yes, sir, this is my vehicle. Well, what happened? I was like, I couldn't see. And I didn't know this bridge was out. He's like, it's been out for 6 months. It's like, I never come down here. I said, I'd never come down here. I was trying to hook up with a girl I know. He kind of looked at me and all right, come with me. Made me sit in that seat in the car everybody loves, the back.
Yeah.
And he goes, you were drinking and driving last night. I can smell it on you. I was like, no, sir. He goes, I can smell it on you. There's no reason to lie. I was like, no, sir. I went to my friend's house who just brought me up here, and I was shaken up and cold because it was so cold that I had like 2 or 3 beers. He looked at me. He goes, we both know that's bullshit. Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. That's how it happened. Well, why did you leave the scene? Because it was blizzard-like conditions, and I didn't want to freeze to death. My phone is still dead, see? And I held up my phone, and I tried to turn it on, and it said 0%. And he was all like, he said something. And then he was like, he said something else. Well, oh, what were you doing out that late at night? Well, sir, I'm not going to say anything else until I have my lawyer present. I've been more than cooperative. I told you what happened, and now I'm not feeling comfortable with this line of questioning, so I'm not saying another thing until my lawyer's present.
Right.
He looked at me, gave me a card where the towing company, he goes, there's where your truck is. Get the fuck out of here.
Aw. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I go back out and I start freezing my ass off because I was sweating bullets. And then the whole time I'm thinking, all right, be cool. You can get out of this.
Yeah.
Just think. Don't tell them too much. And yes, I should have gone to jail. There ain't no doubt about it. And when all that settled down and I got my vehicle back, I was like, you know what? I think we're going to think about not drinking anymore. And it was within 6 months of that happening that, I quit. Well, actually, it was about a year or so after that happened that I quit for good. But then not long after that, I moved, got a different vehicle, and I moved, and then I moved to Indiana from here, and then came back, and that's when I met Cammie, and it was probably 6 months into our relationship that I quit drinking.
Yeah, I haven't had a drink of alcohol for a long time, for a couple of years.
Christmas.
Just because I haven't cared to, not that I avoided it, I just haven't cared.
Christmas.
But, going back to what we were talking about cops and we were talking about how they're trained to, no, it's a great story. Thank you. How they're trained to fuck with people, not only physically, but emotionally. It's like, you'll see videos of, look, you cops know when they're putting the handcuffs on you too tight.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see video after video after video after video that's out there on the internet of people complaining when the cops put that on them, that they're putting it on too tight. Mm-hmm. They are trained to do this. It is an act of violence, right? So then you look at the fact that the police is basically is the control, the enforcement of the government and of property, the rich. And then you look at the fact that the poor are the most disenfranchised towards any kind of gun control, where they have or any kind of gun ownership, where it's so bad that they have to steal, and that the black market of guns is even bigger amongst poor people,
right?
For that reason, which makes the guns even harder to trace back.
Or if they are traced back, it's been reported stolen.
Right. And it's just like Dave says here in the comments, look how the police harass the homeless. Right.
Absolutely. I mean,
violence is baked into the system, and especially when it comes to the government dealing with the people, or the rich dealing with the people. Violence is baked into the system. And until we actually seriously confront that and look at it and go, oh shit, this is very true. And instead, when we start going, okay, how can we, work against that? How can we push back against that? Those are the laws that need to be changed, right? Once you change those laws where violence is baked into the system, then you can start to see a cultural change. Then you can start working on a cultural change of baking that up. But that's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
That's multi-generational. That's not going to happen in any law tomorrow.
And not only that, but I mean, I was thinking of this when you were saying disenfranchising the poor. This isn't a new thing. It's happened for centuries. And in feudal Japan, if you were not samurai, you were not allowed to have a sword.
Right.
And it's my understanding, and I'm sure Johnny probably knows anything about this a lot better than I would, but it's my understanding that is one of the reasons that the 3-section staff and nunchucks were developed, because they were not.
They weren't allowed to have swords, right?
So it's like, let's put 2 sticks on a rope. Let's put 3 sticks on a rope.
It's chain. Also why the what is it? The sai, it looks like a trident.
Raphael.
Yeah, right. That's why that was invented. There's a bunch of weapons that were used to protect themselves against, swords. But that's always been the playbook. And until we deal with that, until we are honest with it, and until we, confront it as a society and in our laws, it's there's no gun law in the world that's going to help.
No.
You
There's no
know?
law, period, until we purge that. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I mean, humans are violent by nature. I mean, even if we don't mean to be.
Yeah, but we're also cooperative by nature. We're only violent by nature if we feel threatened, right? Just like any ape is. And most apes are only violent by nature if they feel threatened. But the
Yeah.
problem is even with apes learn to use violence as a mean of social control. So we as humans do the same thing. We use
Well, and I mean,
violence as a
exactly. I
means
mean,
of social control.
look at the things we celebrate just in our everyday world. I mean, football.
Yeah.
Me and Tam are into football. That's a very violent game.
Violent
Ask
sport,
Aaron
yeah.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
Hockey's another one we both enjoy. That's probably one of the most violent games ever developed.
Yeah.
Other than, I still say the toughest, roughest game, other than your combat sports, is rugby.
Yeah.
Because
That's a
those
hard-
dudes don't
that's a
have
hard
any
game.
pads.
Look, I know violence is part of like who we are as human beings, but we're also social. But we also have the capability of understanding the place of violence. I think we understand we have the capability to understand the nuances of the difference between violence that's, let's say, a boxing match versus the violence of someone getting shot in the face.
Right.
We understand the nuances and the difference that some sports are inherently violent. We do what we can to diminish the impact of that violence, unless you're the NFL and you don't give a shit about concussions, and we do what we accept that. We say, okay, you know what you're getting into. Both the combatants getting into that fight know what they're getting into. It's mutually agreed upon. Even though there's violence, we understand that there's a difference in the nuances between that and someone coming up to you, putting a gun to your face and telling you you're about to die. Even now, like the video games that we play and the violence that we see on the TV, I think the majority of people understand that nuance, that difference. But what they don't see is the violence that we're talking about how it's inherited in the system itself, how it's part of the government that we live in, how it's part of the culture in that sense. That's the part that they don't see, I think. That's the part they don't think about. I think the majority of people, when they think about the police, they think, oh, the police is there to enforce the laws. The police are there to, help me if I get robbed. The police are there to solve crimes. None of that shit's true.
Now, see, individually, I see them as individuals that do their best, and not all of them are bad. However, how I see the police is somebody to avoid.
Yeah, same. I don't trust the police. I come from...
Let's just say we want to avoid any imperial.
yeah, exactly. For me, I come from a low-income family, from a low-income part of
Johnny.
Yeah, ain't nothing but mammals. I come from a poor part of the town. I came like this. The city I was raised in Orange County, and Johnny knows this. In Santa Ana, at one time was the murder capital of California.
Jesus.
Like the gangs that existed in Santa Ana were crazy. I mean, there were so many, right? So I had to learn to walk those streets, and that meant I had to learn to protect myself. I had to learn who to talk to, who not to talk to, what to say, what not to say. I grew up in a culture of violence, where just walking down the street, if you didn't know who not to look at the right way, you would get your ass beat.
Try to just keep my eyes kind of down in front of me.
Yeah, keep it down, keep walking, right, keep going ahead, and what have you. Unless you showed respect immediately, or because back in the late 80s or around the 80s, the biggest thing either I knew about, even in elementary school, right, was to know what to say if you were in a certain part of town. If someone came up to you and said, "Hey, who you claim?" Just like that would be the thing. Hey, who you claim? I bet Johnny knows what that knows what that means, because he lived in this area around here. Someone came up to you and say, "Who you claim?" They're gangbang.
Indianapolis Colts.
They're asking you what gang you affiliate with.
Right.
And if you didn't have the right answer, if you didn't know who controlled that area, or if you weren't at least respectful, you get your ass beat.
So what did you say then?
It depends
'Cause
on
I
what
per-
area I was in. If I was in a certain part of Santa Ana, I'd say, my area is Delhi. Or if they would say, if I was in another part of, like, let's say, Tussin or whatever, I would say well, I know that this is where it is. I'd say for me, I claim no one. I would say I have no claims. I'm just passing through, and I would be respectful, and I would just go, hey, yeah, I would just say, I don't claim anyone. I'm cool. I'm just trying to get through. Excuse me, please. And the majority of time, most people would, gangbangers, what have you, would go, all right, go on your way. Other times they wouldn't, and there were times where I had to fucking run my ass because I was being chased down by several cholos who, wanted to beat it. And, yeah, that's
Ringo with the purple hair looks cute.
yeah, that's the situation I grew up. So I grew up with violence. I grew up not trusting the police because of that. Because I would see the police come and talk to my friends who were mostly, Hispanic, Mexican, and how they would treat them differently than, like, say, if they were talking to me. Or
Right.
how they were harassed. I would see, like, people that were harassed by police. Like, I knew a family who who made a claim against a police officer and this is a neighbor of mine, for harassment because, this police officer this police officer had basically done something to violate their civil rights, right? And so made a claim against him, was planning on suing him. This cop just started harassing them like crazy. Always made sure that the father got pulled over, wrote him a bunch of tickets for shit that didn't exist, would sit outside of their house sometimes, would follow their kids to school.
Tail lights out. No, it's not, sir. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Just shit like that. That kind of stuff made it so that I did not trust the police. And then once I got older and started understanding the role of police in society and how it was created and what they really are meant to do and what they really serve as, I haven't trusted the police since then. And again, it all goes back to the violence that's inherited in the system.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's talk about something more fun now.
Okay, we're done with that. That's
My brain is fried after that. So what games you been playing, brother?
Oh, thank you for saying that. I totally forgot. Oh my God.
What?
I bought a game last night.
Dun, dun, dun.
Totally forgot. I bought a game that went on sale finally last night. You ever hear of Plague Tale?
No.
So there's Plague Tale and there's Plague Tale Requiem. And they're really good games. I don't know if they're good enough I would pay the $65 for them. So, like the first Plague Tale Requiem I played, first Plague Tale, it's just called Plague Tale. It was free because I was playing on PS Now and they were, letting you play the game for free, that kind of thing. And I liked the game. It was a great game. So when I heard this game was coming out, I thought, oh, well, I'm going to wait for it to go on sale. It came out like early in the year. It's finally dropped down to like $35 and I picked it up last night. Totally forgot about it till now. I'm glad you said that. So that's the game I'm going to start playing is Plague Tale Requiem. The first game was really good. If you ever get a chance, if you ever see it on sale, Plague Tale for like, it'd probably be like $15 or $20 these days. I'd say pick it up. It's a fun game.
I've been playing that Starfield.
Like it?
Oh yeah, it's amazing, dude. It's very similar to another one that you'll catch me playing sometimes called Outer Worlds.
Okay, I think I've played that before.
Outer World is well, I know you don't have Xbox, but it's been on Game Pass forever. And
I think it's on PS Now. It's the one you kind of like this goofy looking alien, and you start off on this like planet, and you're gonna have to go to these people and talk to them, and then you get to go in the ship, and then you go off in the ship to like other planets or something like that. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Similar.
Let me tell you, what was it called again?
Outer World.
Outer Worlds. Let me double check. Outer Worlds.
This one, you're part of a colony that was sent out into space like before, and you woke up because
Oh, okay. It's not the game I was thinking of. Not the game.
But it's very similar where eventually you get on a ship and you fly to different planets and you talk to different people.
Right.
It's very similar to that. But the thing about the difference is like, okay, you're going to go to planet X. So you click on planet X and then, oh, boom, you're there.
I see. There's no like travel.
No, where this one, you can actually fly in space. And like, if you, like, it would take you, like, if you blasted off from Earth, it would take you like 3 days to get to the moon. I mean, the distances are pretty touch on. Like, I guess it took somebody like 8 hours to get to Neptune. They went to bed and got up the next day and they were at Neptune. Now, I don't know how they avoided not getting kicked out, because I tried that. I was like, oh, I'm going to go eat real quick. I'll just fly towards this planet I'm going to go to anyway.
Yeah.
And when I come back, nope. Yeah, it says, oh, you've been idle too long. I'm like, what? You
got to get one of those mouse shakers.
Yeah, that's probably what they did. But like, you go to, like, okay, for instance, you go to our system. Now, this is like in the future. Earth lost its atmosphere.
Yeah.
So it's just like a wasteland now. But you can go to Earth. Okay, you go into our solar system. But then, like, okay, I don't want to go to Earth right yet. So you can just fly around in space, and like, there's times where there's like people, like bad guys floating around out there that you can like shoot at. You get different missions that you accomplish for different factions. That's how it kind of reminds me of Outer World.
Right.
It's made by Bethesda or whatever their name is. So
have not seen that yet. Well, I haven't played it.
It's well, the only way I don't know if it's on PS5 or not. But it's like $80 right now, and I'm like, I'm not paying that.
Yeah, no shit.
I'll play it I'll play it on Game Pass. I might try to download it for the PC and see if the PC will run it too.
Hey, Wolfman, hold on to that thought real quick. I'll be right back.
Iggy. At least you remember.
Hey,
all right. Now look to your left.
My left, this way.
Yep. On your shelves there.
You're talking about over here?
Yes, on your shelves.
This?
There's something, it looks like a model kit on your shelf next to the shelf that has a green book right next on it.
So not this right here. Are you talking about this?
I don't know. I can't see. Yeah, that's what I was seeing.
These are just letters that are used in like a pegboard kind of thing where you can write things on it.
Oh, okay.
So something Tam bought years ago.
That's what I was seeing. Is like, is that a model? Right. So when you were gone, I looked at it real close. I'm like, I'll describe the area.
Like, what is that?
The people must know. But no, back to Starfield. I mean,
yeah.
So far, I like it, but I'm not going to buy it right away.
No,
it'll be one that I'll probably end up buying.
What did you say? It was like $80
or something? Yeah, I mean, it's brand new though. It just came out Tuesday or something, or last week or something.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty fun game. It's one of those games though that
I hear a lot of people talking about it.
It's one of those games where it's like you're doing something and you look up and it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, you're like, oh shit.
Time suckers.
Yeah. And I mean, because there's just like so many little side quests you can do. And I did a bunch of them right off the beginning to build up my level a little bit, because that's how I usually play those type of games, is you try to do what you can on the side to get more powerful before you start the easy stuff.
Sure. That makes sense.
And then I read today that They are going to start developing Red Dead 3.
That'd be cool. That'd be interesting to see what they do with it.
Well, I mean, it's going to be another 8 years or more
Yeah.
because they're just now talking about it. I mean,
Oh, you guys want to hear something? I think, okay, speaking of, because this reminds me of talking about gaming and
Yeah.
I'm live streaming right now. So I think I found a hole in the foldable chair market.
okay.
Okay. So let me explain. So I spoke about this before, how I can't always have, I want to start streaming at nighttime around 6 p.m., but I don't always have access to the living room because we have a guest that comes for 10 days out of every month.
Right.
And for that
Who
time.
happens
So
to have an awesome name as well.
yes. So what I wanted to do was to be able to stream from my bedroom. All I would need is like a chair and a desk to put my laptop and camera, and I could wear headphones and a mic or whatever. You
Right.
know, and other than that, it would look just like this. Like the idea is that aside from the chair I was sitting on, you wouldn't be able to tell much of a difference, right?
Right. Well, yeah, because you have your green screen.
green
I'm sure
screen
you
and-
probably have it on the stream. I'm just seeing the green. So
Oh yeah. It's on right now. It's a bookcase. So
that's why you were like, it's on this. I'm like, you're pointing at the screen. I can see the screen.
so
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
because of that, and because there's limited space in the bedroom, my idea was, okay, using a folding chair or a folding desk would solve that problem. I could just fold it up, put it against the wall, not an
Mhm.
issue, right? Folding table, easy to find. You can find all different sorts of folding tables, all different sizes, where the legs fold up and everything. That's not an issue. From small to large, easily found. But when it comes to folding chair, there are only basically two types. There is, and we're not talking I'm not talking, understand, like camping chairs, right? I'll get to that in a second. But as far as folding chairs go, there is the hard plastic, metal, or wood type, which, you see that, unfolds and
you crack somebody on the head with on wrestling.
yeah,
games.
you're right, on wrestling or something like that. Right, exactly. There's that. And then there's what's kind of like this clamshell shape. There's a cloth clamshell looking thing. It sits like this, and the legs are like crisscrossed underneath it, and it's like that. You sit back into it, right? Those are really the only indoor type of folding chairs. And then when you get to the outdoor type, the problem with those are all that they sit too low. They're not made for sitting at a desk, right?
No.
So you can't use those. So I started looking, well, is there any kind of, because you would think in a time where people are living in increasingly smaller spaces or they're sharing houses with people because they can't afford it on their own. And so their space is limited, that foldable and retractable items would become more popular. You would think that. You would think you would see more diversity of design. But when it comes to the folding chair market, it doesn't exist. Like there are no easily foldable chairs that you could use that are comfortable and that you could sit for long periods of time at a desk with. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah,
So-
because even back when we were growing up, they had those folding lawn chairs. But
Yeah.
other than like the outdoor chairs, what you were referring to,
Yeah.
you can't really find any kind of chairs that fold up that have arms on them.
Right, exactly. Or that have any kind of back support.
Yeah, it's
Or-
usually
or-
like those steel or wood ones. They might have some padding on them, but
Right.
you sit in that for an hour, your ass goes numb, or at least mine does.
Yeah. And also a lot, like some of them, like I have a folding chair here at home, like, like the wrestling type, that
Right.
it just has like a
have
pad.
several.
It has a pad on the seat and a pad on the backrest. That's it. The problem with that is that it's too short for me.
Yeah.
And it sits a little too low to the ground, and it hurts my knee because of my surgery.
Right.
So I can't, because of that, it puts my knee at like an elevated kind of like position, and it puts pressure on it, and I can't sit in that too long. So I also have to be aware of the seat height size, of it when I'm looking at stuff. There are no folding chairs out there that are designed to be, used to like sit for long periods in front of a PC. There are no work-based folding chairs that are meant to be sat in for long periods of time. And why does this exist? I don't know why. You would think in today's day, where more people are working remote, where more people are living in
Tiny
smaller
home.
areas, or they don't have a house for themselves. They just have their room because that's all they can afford to live in that house, because they have to have 5 other people living with them to afford the place. That this would be a thing, but it's not. So I think I found a hole. If someone would come along and figure out how to design it, they would probably, I think, make more money than they expect. Because I don't think I'm the only person looking for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea, but I actually had a better idea for you,
What?
but it would cost.
Yeah, see, I don't have money, so what would it be?
Right, but
Maybe I can come up with an alternate solution.
what you need, okay, get your desk and just get you the biggest, giantest bean bag you can find.
See, I wouldn't even have room for that. That's the problem.
Ah,
We got a king size bed, a California king size bed in our bedroom.
oh yeah.
So it's like there is maybe, I want to say, okay, let's say maybe 4 feet between the bed and most of the walls.
Okay.
So not a lot of room, but there's one space that the lighting would be good for me, and I could sit and I could put my green screen up behind me, and I could have enough room to put a small table in front of me, and to do it with, and put my green screen back there.
And
I have
see,
the
I
space.
don't have that issue because basically the basement here is mine.
I wish I had a basement. I do. I wish I had a basement.
And it's basically like my mini apartment almost. Because I mean, the only thing I don't have down here is a kitchen and a bathroom. But I mean, it's like I have a little living room area, which I usually sleep down here anyway because I get up earlier than she does, and I move around too much. And
Right.
then I'm also too hot. She said. I was like, well, thanks. You're pretty hot yourself. She's like, I meant warmth, smartass. Oh,
Did you know that it's not uncommon in towns that on the East Coast mostly, this is like an East Coast thing, that in towns where coal mining was a large means of the town stability, right?
yeah.
Is that you will find houses that have basements where there is a toilet in the basement.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it's off to the side, sometimes it's like in the middle of the basement.
Well,
but
and
there's toilets.
I've seen a few variations of our house, like our floor plan. I mean, it's your very basic. You walk in, there's steps. You go down to the basement. You go upstairs, a little hallway that goes down to the bedrooms, or you go straight into the kitchen. Living room's right there. I mean, you've been in this kind of house before.
Yeah. So that's how houses in these areas were designed. That if the idea was that these men were going out working the coal mines and they would come home dirty, and they would come home just disgustingly dirty. So they would come in through the back door, and the back door would have, you either went straight down to the basement, or you turned right or left and went into the kitchen or what have you. And a lot of houses in these areas were designed like this on purpose, so that when he came home, he could go down, shower in the basement, shower, shit, clean himself up. And then after he's done with all that, he's made himself presentable, come up to the family and, be with the family, eat dinner, and what have you. And
beat the wife.
Yeah, whatever. beat the kids and the wife. There wasn't enough olives in my martini.
Well, I doubt a coal miner would be drinking a martini, but yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. But
ironically, I had the song "Coal Miner's Daughter" stuck in my head this morning. So,
but yeah, that's why those toilets were put into the basements. That you'll see them specifically in areas where coal mining was a large means of
like what I would say with my house is, we in our bedroom. We have a bathroom in there that, sink, toilet, and shower.
Yeah.
My friend who has this exact same house, his is a walk-in closet. And then they have the bathroom, another little bathroom right next to where the laundry area is, and there's like nothing. I mean, you just gotta go. You go in there, and there's nothing there. I mean, it's like if somebody's doing laundry, they get to see what you're doing.
Right.
But I think it actually works out for us better like this because I have my own area to do, like, watching Ahsoka or playing a video game or talking to you now. I actually work down here too. And then she has her own little area upstairs, one of the other bedrooms, to where she goes and does her thing. Because a lot of
Right.
people don't, how do you guys not sleep together? Pretty comfortably, actually. I mean, it's not all the time, but
Yeah.
the majority of nights, yes, I'm down here and she's up there, and
It's not
it
as
works.
uncommon as people pretend it is.
I know.
A lot of people do that.
But yeah, back to the gaming. I recommend Starfield. I've been playing a little bit of Madden, the newer one, and then Valheim and GTA.
Yeah.
I haven't been on the PC version in a hot minute.
Well, I haven't been on PC GTA in like a long time. It's
probably since I played with you guys.
Yeah, it's probably since the last time I did too. Mostly it's on the PS5. My thing on GTA is I've just been doing like heists like crazy to try to get more money. But also when I'm having fun, my new favorite, I think I mentioned this the other day, my new favorite thing to do is get on a bicycle.
Yeah.
And then what I'll do is I'll find an alleyway and I will just set bombs in all the alleyway. And I will just circle this building set and I'll wait for someone to start chasing me because inevitably someone will come by and go, oh, look at that guy on a bike. Let's go chase him. Let's go get him. Right? Like that.
Let's kill him.
And which is funny because when they do actually end up killing me, because you know how like you can hear someone talk when you kill them for like a few seconds. And what I'll say, especially if it's someone that kills me with a rocket, right? I'll in that moment, I'll just unmute my mic and go, haha, you had to use a rocket. You had to use a rocket to kill someone on a bicycle. Haha. Like that. But yeah, I'll have them chase me. And right when I go through that alley, I'll just click the bombs. It'll boom. And what I've done is I've been smart enough to set them up in multiple alleys around me. So like there's a section by the main downtown where the closer you get to the river, the more alleyways you'll find, right?
Right.
And so what I do is I'll set them in one specific alley and then I'll set them in another alley because the people that I blow up will inevitably start to chase me again to try to get revenge. And I'll just go down that other alley.
That's great.
So boom, it's funny. But I finally got up to like level 90 where I could like increase the size of my engines and my cars and stuff. So
I think I'm like at 50 or something. I don't even know because I don't pay attention because I just usually do those little one-off missions like, oh, go get booze.
I swear, ever since I hit level 89, I don't know if it's a game thing or whatever. I keep meaning to like look into this. But ever since I hit level 89, I swear to you, I've been having cars like deliberately put themselves in my path. Even to the point where they have spawned in front of me.
Probably.
Like, like.
Well, and I mean,
like, what the fuck?
That whole glitchy thing that you sent me that video of where you're driving on the bridge and you just drop and
all of a sudden sunk underneath. Yeah.
Even my girlfriend, I mean, she has no idea really. I mean, she knows about the game.
Yeah.
She knows that I play it.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Even she was like, what the hell happened there? She goes, that looks like some bullshit.
Yeah, that was some bullshit.
I was like, that's exactly what that was, honey. Some bullshit.
That was bullshit.
I tried to get her to watch Free Guy with me the other night. And
that's a fun movie. She
kind of was watching it, but it didn't keep her interest.
Yeah.
But I did have to show her that scene because that one gets me every time when he's running out of that building when they come after him the first time as the rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
It came out like a wrecking ball. Shit. And he falls because he missed the cable or whatever.
There's a movie that I've been telling people about lately. I think it came out in 2005 or 2007. I can't remember it. I might have mentioned it years ago, but it came up again in a conversation with someone the other day. It's such a crazy movie that I've been telling others about it. It's a film that is actually often discussed in film classes. It's a really excellent film, but very different than any other film you will ever see. And it is called Rubber. Have you ever heard of the movie?
Maybe.
So Rubber is the story of a sentient car tire that has psychokinetic powers, which falls in love with a woman in a small town and starts to kill other people in that town to get to this, to get to this woman.
Is this a public domain movie?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I'd be surprised if it was, but it is. You could find it. Like, I'm sure it's on one of the streaming services or somewhere. Or if you can, I'm sure you can find it to download it. It may even be on YouTube. I don't even know. But it is a full-length movie. But it is such a strange movie, from the way it's shot to the narration to the story, and how the story is kind of like told in a weird kind of like time slot way.
They must have heard me talking about them. The cops just drove by, and they're never in this neighborhood.
Uh-oh. But it's a movie that you should definitely, if you like crazy movies, and I know you like horror movies, if you've never seen Rubber, find this movie.
I'm looking it up on my back.
It is a crazy.
Right now.
Let me see if I can. I'll show you the trailer for it. It is crazy. Hold on a second. Rubber.
2010 film.
Was that when it came out?
Yeah, it's
I thought
on
it was
Max
like around
and Hulu.
2007. Oh, it is on Hulu?
And Max.
Yeah, you should definitely watch it.
A car tire comes to life with the power to make people explode and goes on a murderous rampage through the Californian desert. This sounds like that might be the first horror movie I watched to get into the spirit of the season.
It is a crazy movie, but it is a good movie. It is like one of those movies where your first instinct when you first start watching it is what the fuck am I watching? This is a weird ass movie, but you have to just like stick with it and just like get into it. And
that's like The Greasy Strangler.
It is the production is better than The Greasy Strangler, but
that doesn't take much. But
yeah, but
I mean, it's no Foul Uprising.
When it's no Foul Uprising. When you see this movie, I guarantee you will come back to me and you will say, "What the fuck did I just watch?" Because it's literally it's not a bad movie. It's a really good movie, but it's just so different.
I'll have to ask Mikey Otis if he's seen it, because he watches a lot of obscure movies like that. So
yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those movies that's heavily discussed in film schools. Oh, what the fuck? Did Twitch just go down?
Probably.
Because like all of a sudden it seems like I lost my connection to Twitch for some reason.
I know one of the funniest movies I ever saw was Phantom of the Shopping Mall, Eric's Revenge. It's one of the mid and late 80s grade C horror.
Yeah.
They basically took Phantom of the Mall or the opera and put him in a mall. Except he was a teenager.
Did you ever see there was a weird movie back in the I think late 90s, early 2000s called Boxing Helena?
Yep.
You ever see that movie?
Yep.
That was a weird movie. But Rubber blows the pants off it. I can't stress enough. I think you would love Rubber.
Well, the reason I was seeing that it's on Hulu and Max, that tells me that it's not free domain. But yeah. Doc's always looking for weird movies.
Yeah.
But they have to be public domain.
Because he doesn't want a copyright strike or anything. Yeah, sure.
Right. Well, he doesn't want to pay for anything, and I don't blame him. I mean,
yeah, no kidding.
The only reason Svengoolie is as popular as he is and has a national TV show is because he has a contract with Universal to show their old classic monster movies.
Right. Hmm?
And that used to be a very common thing back in the day of the original Creature Feature and Elvira and
Yeah.
whatever Shock Theater or whatever it was in your local area.
Yeah. Those were the fun days.
Right? Well, that's
Anyway,
back when
Wolf, hey.
being on TV meant something.
No kidding. Anyway, I'm done for the day, dude. I gotta take off, do stuff, feed the dog, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But it's
same.
been great talking to you, man. Thank you for helping me create some content today.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, you know that.
Yeah.
I'll jump off here and let you say your goodbyes. Thanks for having me, and have a good night, everybody. And we'll talk at you soon.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here, Johnny, and everybody else that's watching on PeerTube. Thank you for joining me. Have a good night, everybody. I will be back. I might do something this weekend. I might even be back tomorrow. It depends on if Tam's working from home tomorrow. So there might be a surprise live stream tomorrow. If not, definitely Tuesday. So anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Take care of yourselves. And remember, if at first you don't succeed, keep sucking until you do succeed. Have a nice day.